Alright, in this next exercise we are going to modify the existing components. So go ahead on the pre-architecture Revit, page 74, with your house, and what it asks us to do is go ahead and select the double door. So I'll go ahead from my house, I'll select the double door. Okay, so go ahead and select the properties icon from the options bar, and we're going to change some of these parameters around. So on page 75 on the PDF file, okay, we're going to go ahead and select Edit and New. It asks us to go ahead and select Duplicate, and then go ahead and change it to 48 by 80. And select OK. Then on 75, we're going to go ahead and edit the height. So go ahead in the dimensions, height to 6'8", and the width to 4 foot. And go ahead and select OK twice. Alright, and there the door has been reduced in width and changed in height. Okay, on page 76, we're going to create a component in place. So go ahead and we're going to choose component from the basic tab of the design bar. Let's go ahead and do that. And we'll select create in place. Generic models. Select OK. And we're going to go ahead and type in Hall Clock, H-A-L-L-C-L-O-C-K, and press OK. And then in the design bar, under solid form, go ahead and select solid extrusion. And let's go ahead here and select extrusion properties. Set the extrusion end to 6 inches. And the constraints here, let's see what else we have. 6 inches. Select OK. Select the lines on the option bar. Rectangle. Draw a rectangle approximately 1 foot by 1 foot by 4 inches as shown. This is going to be on page 77. Alright, so we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit, but we'll put it right here. Go ahead and zoom in, scrolling my mouse. I can also type in 1 foot 4 inches as I go here. Okay, and go ahead and select Finish Sketch. That's going to be the base of my clock. and then go ahead and select solid form, solid extrusion, and on the extrusion properties, set the start value to 6 inches, and the end value to 5'6". So basically we're making a rectangle from the base and going up. It's starting at 6 inches, which is going to go on top of the base that we just made, which is 6 inches high. And select OK. Now it needs to know the size where we're putting this. So we'll go ahead and select the lines. And we're going to go ahead and do a rectangle with an offset of 2 inches. Okay, we're on page 78. Okay, so we'll go ahead and select the endpoint. Ah, Mr. Smith did it wrong. It's got to be -2. Oh, Mr. Smith. Please forgive me. We'll do it again. There we go. And I'll have to delete that other one. So you can watch me do this very ugly. Go ahead and select modify, delete this. Okay, and then go ahead and select Finish Sketch, and that portion is completed. And then go ahead and select Finish Family and save your work. And then go ahead and inspect the work that you've done so far so you can make sure that you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing here. So the way to do this is, we don't want to be looking in the shade, so wireframe would probably work well here. Zoom in, scroll around, okay, and there we started that clock there. Okay, so we're actually going to be doing some work on this to set some cameras in a next couple exercises. So go ahead and save your work, and you've completed this portion of the exercise. In this lesson we're going to learn how to export our house to Viz or 3ds Max. However, what we need to do is make sure that we have some of the wall items selected with the proper material so we can get the effect that we want. So go ahead and open up your pre-architectural Revit to page 459, and we're going to work on our house. So let's get the floor plan view and zoom to fit. And I already have my house open. Zoom to fit. Okay. And on page 460, what it's asking us to do is select all our exterior walls and right click and select all instances from the context menu. So let's go ahead and do that. So not the interior wall, but the exterior wall. Right click and select all instances. And then we're going to change the wall from generic to brick on metal stud. Okay, so we've obviously changed these walls. Okay, so if you're not seeing what is on my screen, make sure that your detail level is at least at medium. Alright, so make sure that your walls are aligned. For example, if they are not completely flush, like Mr. Smith's, if you notice here, the outside of the wall is fluid. If it's not, you're going to want to make sure you modify that. Okay, and you can just take the position and pull and stretch the wall until it works. And the other thing is, if the brick is not on the outside but on the inside, you can also flip the orientation. Alright, so for example, right click, flip orientation. Don't want to do that in this case, so I'll undo that. And the same for the windows. If you find that the windows are not orientated correctly, flip facing, right? But we actually want it the other way. So make sure that everything's on the outside of your house, and go ahead and clean this up. Alright, and then before we export, if you export in the level 1 or any of the floor plans, it will actually export as a two-dimensional object, which some people may want for drawings, but in this case we want to make sure that we select the 3D view. And then it asks us to go ahead and select the top surface, which is your soil. Okay, so I'm just aligning the way the picture is on our PDF file. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and select the top surface, which is the grass. I'll go ahead and do that. And then select the properties. I can right click for the properties, or I can come up here and hit the icon, and we're going to select for material by category. We want to select site grass, and say OK. And then we're going to go ahead and select the roof. And we're going to do the same for the roof, except not grass in this case. It wants a wood rafter. I see it right here. Actually, we don't need to go ahead and properties. We can do it right here. Okay, and go ahead and save your work. Now when we save it, for now, go ahead and save it as a, well, let's go ahead and do the CAD formats. It's always good to save your work. Okay, so go ahead to Export. So go to File, Export, CAD Formats, and we want to go ahead and select a file name. You can go ahead and use your default name here. Now it's saying 2004. You can do that. I've been using 2007 and it seems to work fine. 2007. We have a 2007 version of Autodesk. Okay, so just go ahead and save that. Okay, so now we want to go ahead and open up, it's asking us to do Viz. You can do Viz or 3ds Max. I'm going to go ahead with 3ds Max. Okay, so we should be on page 463, and once we're within either Viz or 3ds Max, there's something called a File Link Manager, and that does exactly what it sounds like. So for example, if we import a Revit building and we change it, it should in theory go ahead and link. So File, and then select the File Link Manager, and we're going to go ahead and open up the house that we exported. Okay, and we're not going to go ahead and select layers, but there are times when you might want to not bring in layers, especially in certain applications. So go ahead and select attach this file, and then go ahead and save this file. We'll go ahead and save it as the same name, but as a 3ds Max or Viz file. Okay, so once you have it saved, we're going to go back to the same file, and we're going to go ahead to the level 1, and on page 465, and the bottom of 464, we're going to go ahead and change the front windows. So I'm going to go ahead and select both front windows. To 36 by 72 fixed. Okay. Open up the 3D view. Let's make sure that it actually did in fact change that window, that view on that. There we go. Okay, so those windows are definitely bigger. We're going to go ahead and save the file, and then go ahead in the file, we'll do the same procedure as before. Export, CAD formats, and we're going to want to do the same files we did before. So go ahead and I'm going to do exactly the same as I did before, 2007, push save, and I do want to replace it, so press yes, and then go ahead to Viz or 3ds Max and go to the File Link Manager, go to Files, and then select Reload. Let's look at these windows. And there we go. You see those windows were reloaded. Now the nice thing is, guys, if I add trees or if I've done additional work, I don't have to start all over. And I can tell you a lot of my students last year would have liked to have known about this feature, but I was keeping it a secret. Okay, and that is the completion of the first exercise on exporting your house to a DWG format.